Jai Prabhuji. Hello everybody and welcome to our course of the book of Prabhuji, Kundalini Yoga, The Power is in You. This is the book and this is the material that we're using for all the information that we're sharing with you in this course of this path. My name is Radha Devi and I am a monastic disciple of Prabhuji. Today we're going to explore about the chakras. This is an introductory class to the chakras, and I can be almost sure that probably you are, if you saw our previous classes, you're already familiar with this term, and because of all the accessibility that we now have in regards to this path of the Kundalini Yoga, I can be almost sure that you probably already heard this term, referring to these energetical centers. So today we are having this class where we're going to be exploring about them. It's going to be an introductory class where we are going to answer questions like what are the chakras, where are they located, how many chakras we have, what is the importance of knowing and understanding this information in regards to the chakras. We're also going to be sharing some of its properties, some of the attributes of each chakra. The other thing that we're going to do is, while we're answering these questions, we are going to maybe clarify certain terms that we used in previous classes and they were not so clear. Then today we're also having that opportunity. And the last part of the class, we are going to briefly share what's going to be the structure of the next few classes, where we're going to be deepening and exploring each of the main chakras, so you have an idea of what are the information that we're going to be receiving in the next few classes. So I wanted to begin sharing the fact that we are actually going a little bit back in the book. Our previous class, we had the ending of the first section of the book, which is 5 chapters. And then today we're starting the second section. But what happened is that in the third chapter, there was, I remember the first paragraph says that in order for us to understand what this path of the Kundalini Yoga is really about, it is indispensable that we know at least basic information in regards to the chakras, the marmas, and the granthis. We had our classes about the granthis and about the marmas. So what we did was that we reserved the information that is shared in regards to the chakras for this class as an introductory class to this second section, where we are actually going to be sharing of each of the main chakras. So starting by that, by putting on the table the fact that it's important to understand the basic information in regards to the chakras, the marmas, and the granthis, then we're starting to understand that it's actually significant. It's very relevant to understand what are the chakras about. And throughout all our classes, we heard how this process of the awakening, of the ascent and descent, for example, in our previous class of the Kundalini, is so important, and how these energetic centers, how the chakras are so involved. So we can start by asking or answering the question, what are the chakras? The word chakra means disc or wheel, and if we want to translate it more in the context of the yoga, then it will be translated as vortice or as a whirlpool. Also, another name that the chakras is very known for is the name Padma or lotus, and we will see later in our class how each chakra is going to be represented by a lotus, and we're going to see also what is the significance of this symbol of the lotus flower. So these different translations of the word chakra, it's going to suggest its movement, that is moving in a circular way. This is going to represent the movement of the needles of the clock, so it's going in the same direction. The other thing that we're going to see in regards to the chakras is that, as I mentioned, they are vortices. So I will say that they are kind of a stop from all this ocean of prana that we have. They are taking this energy, they are receiving energy, they are assimilating, and they are also transmitting energy. And they are doing it both from the linga sharira, the subtle body, to it. So these chakras are going to represent like a bridge between this, also between two realities. It's going to be the physical and the subtle. It's going to be between the stula sharira, the physical body, the sheet of food, and between the sukshma sharira or linga sharira, which is coming into the subtle body. So this is going to be, as I said, this bridge, and the role of these chakras is going to be to metabolize all this energy, all this prana that we have throughout our body. We saw it more or less in our classes where we explain about the prana, and also in regards to the nadis, how they are a different quantity of nadis connected to each chakra, and we're going to see exactly the amount also later in the class. Another thing in regards to the chakras is the fact that they are working properly only when the exact amount, the correct amount of energy, it's been metabolized. And what we're going to see in the classes that we're going to have in regards to each chakra is that sometimes we have an imbalance. They are going to be metabolizing more energy than the one that they were supposed to, or less. And they're going to be working properly only when they are moving in the same direction of the needles of the clock. If they're doing in the opposite way, it can mean that the chakra is closed, that is blocked, or there is some obstruction and it's not working properly. How many chakras do we have? Depending on which scripture, then this number is going to vary, but from the beginning in our introductory class, we share that if we are talking according to the Tantras, we have 88,000 chakras. So it's a huge amount. I don't know if you remember also when we share about the nadis, we have many nadis throughout our body. We have many, many chakras, but they are not going to be so significant in our subtle sheath, in this sheath of prana. But from these 88,000, 45 are the most important ones, and the more relevant of these 45 are 7. These 7, starting from the one in the base of the spine that we mentioned in many different occasions, is the Muladhara chakra. Then we continue going up and we have the Swadhisthana chakra. Then we have the Manipura chakra. After the Manipura, we have the Anahata chakra. Then we have here the Vishuddha chakra. Then we have the Anya chakra between our eyebrows. And the last one is the 7th chakra, which is the Sahasrara chakra, here in the top of our head. What we're going to see is that in our classes, we're also going to be bringing an 8th chakra that many times is not so mentioned, but we're going to bring it. It's the Bindu chakra. It has also certain meaning, certain purpose. Something is happening there, and we're going to explain it in the class that we're going to be sharing in regards to this specific chakra. These chakras are located along the spine, going upward, as I many times show. What is the importance of learning the information about the chakras? Why are we sharing this information? And we're going to see that learning the properties and the esoteric symbolism of each of these chakras is going to allow us to focus our attention on each of them. So this is going to help us to become more aware of the essential nature of each chakra. they cannot be seen by our physical bodies, but with this attention, we can actually perceive them with our senses. And as I said, they're going to be located along the spinal cord, along the spine, and in the nerve plexuses. Something else very interesting in regards to the chakra, and we saw it also in previous classes, is the relation that they have with the elements. Each one of the energy centers is going to correspond to a level in the cosmic process of the creation, and therefore it is going to be related to a particular element that is going to give them certain characteristic and qualities. So we saw this in our class where we spoke about the evolution of prana, and we also saw it in our class about the tattvas. These were actually the last 5 tattvas in the process of manifestation of the universe. When we had this class about the tattvas, we started from the most subtle ones, where there was this subjectivity, these first 5 pure tattvas, and we finished with the impure tattvas, and this was the last 5. And we spoke how the universe is standing, this is like the base of the universe is standing in these 5 elements. So what we're going to see in regards to these elements is the fact that is not, I want to mention what are the elements first, starting with Akasha, which is ether, then we have Vayu, that is air, then we have Tejas, that is fire, after we have Apas, that is water, and the last one is Prithvi, which is earth. And they are connected starting from the Vishuddha chakra. So I just mentioned them going downward. The Vishuddha chakra will be the ether, and the Muladhara chakra will be connected with the earth. What we're going to see is that it's not that they are going to be like a feast of earth or a glass of water, or we're going to relate to that's the air that we're breathing, but more with its inherent qualities of each of these elements, like the quality of this transformation that the fire has, this potency that it has for this destruction and transforming things, or the liquidity of the water, or how light is the air. So they're going to be more related in this way. And something else that I would like to bring up to this discussion that we're having in regards to the elements is that when we share about them, we also share how they are connected to the gunas, to these modes of nature, and how each mode of nature is influencing some of these elements and connected to all of those to all these 5 chakras that we just mentioned. So it's important to understand this relation that each chakra is going to have with a particular element, and how also certain mode of nature is going to be dominating and influencing at the same time. The other thing that we would like to share in regards to the chakras is that they are like a microcosm of the creation. So before of the cosmic manifestation, only we have this unified totality. So the first expression of this consciousness is the vibration of the universal Om. We have this mantra we spoke in our previous class in regards to the mantras. And later today we're going to see also how these diagrams of each chakra is going to have different syllables, different mantras. So from this primordial sound, ether is manifested. Then when there is this activity of ether, we're going to have the air that is formed. The air is going to be here. Then from this activity, the fire is produced in the Manipura chakra. Then we have the liquefaction, and the fire is going to lead to the manifestation of water. And finally, from the solidified water comes the earth. So we are getting to know and understanding more how there is this evolution of prana, there is this evolution of ourselves as human beings and how each chakra is going to be connected then with a different element. The other thing that we're going to see in regards to the chakras is that each and one of them is related to a specific animal that is going to be symbolizing the movements of prana in each of these centers. Each center is also related to a specific plane of consciousness. What we are going to get to know is the fact that there are different dimensions of existence and forms of life. And according to the Vedic holy scriptures, below the earthly plane where we live, there are what we call 7 talas. These are lower worlds, and there are 6 lokas, which are worlds that are above this one. So each of these talas and lokas are going to be representing different levels of consciousness. We saw this in our previous class with the awakening of the Kundalini, how in the ascent we are actually living in different levels of consciousness, and with the opening and the perforation of the Kundalini to each chakra, then it's an opening to another levels of consciousness. I remember that we used the example of this thermometer, and we also spoke when we are in a very high building, then our view it's also more clear, and this is going to be representing our levels of consciousness. What we're going to see in regards to these different lokas is that, and these different worlds, is that each loka is going to have its counterpart or its corresponding tala. So it's going to be similar to 2 electrical poles. We're going to have the our world where we live, and then going above and below, the loka is going to have a specific tala. So according to the Mahabharata Purana, these are the following. We're going to be mentioning all of them, starting from the most elevated one, which is the Satya Loka. Then under it we have the Tapo Loka, then we have the Dhyana Loka, the Mahar Loka, the Svarga Loka, and the Bhuvar Loka, and we have then the earthly plane, which is the Bhur Loka. Under it, we have the talas, starting from the Atala. After we have Vitala, then we have Sutala, then we have Tala Tala, then the Mahatala, the Rasatala, and the last one is the Patala. So you saw how we have, for each loka, we have its counterpart of a different tala. And as I mentioned at the beginning, each of the chakras is going to be related to one of these lokas or talas, so it's going to represent different levels of consciousness. The chakras are also linked to different nervous ganglia and the internal secretion glands of the endocrine system. What we're going to see is that, for example, the Muladhara chakra is going to be related to the suprarenal glands. And then going forward, each of the chakras, the Swadhisthana, is going to be more with the sexual glands, and each and one of them is going to be related to very specific gland. These energy centers have a very great influence on our body, for example, in the digestive, in the nervous, in the circulatory, and also in the respiratory system. So I think it's a very good opportunity to mention why we're always stressing the fact that all the practices that we that we follow need to be under the strict guidance of an enlightened being, an enlightened master. And we are going to get to know more of this when we're going to speak specifically in regards to each chakra, but we are seeing here how they are actually influencing not only in the astral body where they are located, but they are going to be regulated, and they're going to have great influence in our digestive system, in our nervous system, in our circulatory system, and that's to say in our physical body. They are also going to be affecting us mentally, emotionally, even sexually. So I thought it's a good opportunity to mention one more time why we're stressing so much the fact that all the practices needs to be done under the guidance of an enlightened guru. Something else that influences is the asanas, which are posture of hatha yoga. They're going to be influencing the functioning of the chakras. We will see that certain asanas work especially on the prana movement of this specific center. In our class, we're going to see what are the specific asanas that are working with each of the centers. So this is why it is so important that the order in which we are practicing hatha yoga, in which we are practicing these asanas, is going to be so important, because we want to do it in an ascendant way or in a descendant way. This is something that Prabhuji shares very much. If you had the opportunity to read one of his books where we're sharing about hatha yoga, this is one of the first points where he is explaining the importance of following an order in the practice. Then, as I said, these chakras are not going to affect us physically, but also psychologically, sexually, emotionally, and it's going also to influence our ability to communicate. So the techniques and the practices of the Kundalini yoga, what they're doing is that they require focusing our attention on each of the chakras center of stimulation. What we're going to see is that we cannot, because we cannot see the chakras, they are not in our physical body, they are in the subtle body, in the astral body, then we are going to have what it's called the kshetram. The kshetram, this word, the meaning is place, residence, field. These are different words that we can translate the meaning of the word. We will see that depending on in which context we use it, then many times it's going also to mean, especially in the Hinduism, it's going to mean temple, it's going to be the residence of the divine. So it's very, I thought it was very interesting to share this fact of these different meanings of what the word kshetram means, because this is going to be the location. We're going to take the kshetram as the location in our physical body. Each chakra is related to one kshetram that is located in the front of our body. I'm sure that many of you probably saw many of these images with a specific symbol of the chakras. These are the kshetram. I'm going to show an image now. And what they're doing is that in order for us to be easier, many times we have beginners in the practice, and it's very difficult for us to actually sense and connect with the chakras. So we use the kshetram, this location, in order for us to focus our attention. We many times mention how the attention and the focus in different centers is so important. It's a very specific practice. We're going to see how, and we spoke about it in the awakening of the Kundalini, how we need to focus our attention in the Muladhara chakra in order to awaken it. So we see how important it is to actually build and develop this connection with the chakras, and this is the purpose of the kshetram. The kshetram is not the chakra itself, but the concentration and the attention and the intention that we're setting in order to communicate with the chakras is going to stimulate the nerves, and the kshetram is actually going to communicate and stimulate the chakra itself. Each chakra, besides this kshetram, it's also represented by what we call a yantra. A yantra is a geometric diagram. The yantra, the word itself, it means machine and it means instrument. If there is someone that is curious, in regards to this term, I recommend you to go to the book of Prabhuji, Tantra Yoga, the Liberation in the World. Here there is a chapter where the yantra is explained in more depth. So in regards to the yantra, what we're going to see is that the vibration of the chakra, it's going to be indicated with a Sanskrit letter, or what it's called the Vijakshara, the Bija. And it's going to be in the center of the diagram. I'm going to be showing now what are the different yantras of each of the chakras. And while we see these images, we can continue explaining that there is, as I mentioned in the beginning, a lotus flower with different numbers of petals. These different numbers of petals are going to symbolize what is the quantity of the nadis that it's going to intersect in each of the chakras. So in each petal, we are also going to find the Sanskrit letters that is going to represent the specific vibration of each nadi. These flowers are open or closed according to the person's particular situation. So each of the main chakras is going to be represented with a lotus with a specific color, and as I just said, with a specific number of petals, and it's going to be as follows. The Muladhara has 4 petals and it's a very deep red lotus. The Swadhisthana has 6 and the color is vermilion. Then the Manipura has 10 petal bright yellow lotus. The Anahata has a 12 petal blue lotus. The Vishuddha chakra is going to have a 16 petal violet lotus. The Anya is a 2 petal silver blue lotus, and the Sahasrara has a 1,000 petal lotus with all the colors. I can share now that these 1,000 petals that we just shared about the Sahasrara is actually representing a lotus of an infinite number of petals. It's not that it's specifically 1,000, but they pick this amount in order to represent its infinity, this union with the totality. I don't want to share more information about it. We have beautiful information in regards to this chakra in the book, so I want to reserve the information for the class that we're going to have in regards to the Sahasrara chakra. The use of the symbol of the use of the lotus as a symbol is very significant, because what we're going to see is that men must pass through 3 stages in the spiritual life. We have the first one, which is ignorance. The second one is going to be aspiration and endeavor, and it's going to be represented by our sadhana. And the third one is the illumination. This is the third stage. So the lotus also have different levels. It's going to have 3 different levels, which is mud, water, and air. The lotus is going to start first of all to grow in the mud. Then he's doing the effort to go, like he grows up through the water in this effort to reach the surface. So this is going to represent this second stage, which is this endeavor and this aspiration. And then eventually it's going to reach the air and the direct light of the sun. So this will represent the illumination stage. So this lotus is going to symbolize men's growth from these low stages of awareness and this lack of knowledge, this in ignorance. And then we are going to be reaching these higher chakras and at the same time different states of consciousness. So this culmination of the growth of the lotus is a beautiful flower. In the same way, in the culmination of men's spiritual quest is going to be the awakening and the blossoming of the human potential. When we refer to the subtitle of the book, The Power is in You, also when we are referring to this awakening, this blossoming to actually fulfill our true potential, then in this same way that the lotus is blossoming into this beautiful flower, the same way we are going to blossom to our maximum human potential. Something else is that we're going to see this lotus symbol in many different places. We have it, for example, in Egypt. They use it in the columns, at the end of the columns, and it is said that it's maybe also representing the chakras. And there is the symbol of the chakra used in different places. We find it in different scriptures of Christianity, also of Islam, but this is not the topic of this class, so we're just bringing it up in case someone it's curious and wants to research more about each of these symbols, how it's used in different cultures. It's not only in Hinduism. Although the meaning of each chakra can never be explained in words, especially the higher ones, there are general attributes that we can associate with each one. And these are not going to actually represent the experience of the chakras, but only the expression and feelings of a person at any particular chakra level. So what I want to say is that we are sharing information, and I'm going to share actually the last paragraph of this chapter where we're sharing about the chakras. But right now what I want to say is that many times we take the information that we're sharing literally, and specifically in regards to the chakras, we want to these seers, these rishis, these illuminated beings are bringing us all this information from something that they are experiencing. But many of the things, and we're going to get to know more about this, is the fact that we cannot even verbalize it. So this is an effort to systemize and understand more what we're speaking about, but we cannot take it literally. We are going to have different texts that are listing different attributes, and this is why, because it's someone trying to bring and to verbalize these different experiences. But what we want to bring more our attention and relevance is the fact that this is something to be experienced, not something so much to be spoke about. We also saw it in our last class where we were speaking about the awakening and the ascent actually of the Kundalini, how it's not something theoretical. The difference when a doctor that knows everything about the auditory system, someone that doesn't even know how to read also listens. So I thought it's important to bring this example again to understand what are we trying to accomplish, what are we trying to do when we're exploring in regards to all these topics. I want us to, before finalizing with the structure of the next few classes that we're going to have where we're exploring each of the chakras, I want us to just mention different attributes that are related to these chakras, starting from the Muladhara chakra. This one is going to be related to our survival mechanism. This is the highest chakra in the animal realm. So it's everything going to be related to our instinct, to our instinct to survive, to have a roof, to have food, and to have sex. The different basic needs that we have as human beings. Then when we go a little bit more up to the Swadhisthana chakra, the attributes related to this one are going to be more our sensual pleasure. So from these activities like eating, sleeping, having sex, then we want to receive pleasure from these activities. This is going to be what is going to be dominating in this center. And speaking about dominating, the third center is very related to this dominating our desires, and we want to control. It's very related to willpower. And I'm going to do a small parenthesis here. It's very different the influence and the attributes of the chakra when this one is open or when it's closed, when it's balanced and when it's in balance. We're going to see it in our classes of each chakra. We're just giving general information, general attributes in regards to each. When we go to the chakra of the heart, in this one we start accepting people for what they are. We don't take so much in consideration their defects and like different ideals, but we are accept them and ourselves as we are. The Anahata chakra is going to represent a bridge. Remember, we spoke about the 3 inferior chakras and the 3 higher chakras. So this one is going to represent a bridge between these 3 realities. One that is going to be more material, more related to sensual pleasure, to desires, and the other one which is higher and more spiritual, more introspective. We have then the Vishuddha chakra, which is related to communication, how we communicate our feelings, and how we communicate with others. In this one, we see life with more neutral. We find this sense of peace with whatever happens to us, even if it's something negative or positive. We understand that it's for us, and we have this neutrality towards the situations that life brings to us. Then we have the one of the Anya chakra. The Anya chakra is many times considered the third eye. So in this specific chakra, the attributes connected to it, it's how our observation is going to be enhanced, and because of that, our discrimination too. We see ourselves as witnesses of what's happening and not so much involved in this movie, in this reality, in this dream. So it's more a witness standpoint, and as I said, then our observation and our discrimination is enhancing. The last chakra is the Sahasrara chakra, and there is something, as I said, so beautiful in the book that is even told that because what happened here precedes the verbalization, precedes the words, then there is not much to say about it. Only an enlightened being, someone that knows who he is and realize it's himself, herself, if we can put it in these words. It's the one that can do an effort to express what's happening here, but because of the fact that this is something that even precedes the mind, in the Anya chakra is where we connect with all these that we spoke, the buddhi, the chitta, the ahankara. So it's something that it's even preceding the mind. So to share the experience of it, to verbalize it, it's going to be very difficult, but we see the efforts of Prabhuji of sharing it in the book, and we're going to share it in our class of the Sahasrara chakra. So this is everything that we're going to share about the chakras today. We're going to have our classes where we're going to explore each of the main chakras. And I just wanted to share that we're going to have 2 classes so we can actually deepen and test and to be able to focus more in the information that we're sharing and to expand, to enrich the information that we have in the book. In the first class, we're going to be speaking more about different properties. We're going to delve into the devas of each chakra. We're going to know about the color, about the aromas that are related to each of the chakras. And then in the second class of the same chakra, we're going to be speaking more in regards to what is happening in ourselves when one chakra is balanced or imbalance, how this is going to be expressing in ourselves. So we are going to be focusing more in the psychology, in the psychological aspect of the balance and imbalance of the chakras, and many different things we're going to be speaking about in this second class. So this is everything for today. I want to thank you very much for the time, as usual, that you are spending to listen to these classes. Jai Prabhuji.